Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. I am back today with another animation stream. Last stream, I was working on an animation exercise, and that was just to sort of get me back in the mood. I don't know if you saw my previous stream or not, but essentially, I've been working on a capstone project for the past few weeks now, and that's the video essay that I submitted about, I want to say about a week ago, maybe 7 days ago, and that took me a long time to make. It was a lot of research, and now that I've finished it, I've officially graduated. I've officially finished all of my college courses. So now I'm just getting back in the mood to animating, working on my portfolio, as well as finding a job, finding a career, finding a studio, I mean. And so I am back to working on my teaser trailer for my show, which is 13. And for those of you who may or may not know, Witches 13 is essentially a blend between modern science fantasy. It takes place about 100 years from present day, where magic and science has both sort of come about, and the human race has advanced to a point. So I've just been working on the teaser trailer, and I know this looks kind of rough and messy, but that's sort of the whole point of the rough in betweening phase is I'm just getting the basic sort of shape, and I'm trying to make sure that my characters are in line and everything is good. And yes, this is some rough art, but it's meant to be that way. I'm not really meant to dedicate too much to it because there's always the next step, there's always the smooth in betweening phase, or I can put my final line art on it. And there's also always post production like After Effects and other programs to help you further, just to help you further advance and make your animation or art look good. So this scene right here that I'm working on right now is meant to be sort of like a transition scene where we have the main character, he's looking over the banister in scene 1. So he is walking. Oh, hold on. So he's walking, and then he is looking over the banister. Scene 2 is going to be a quick clip of traffic, as well as be a sort of establishing. I'm sorry, I get tongue tied easily. Scene 2 is meant to be an establishing shot where it shows the setting and environment. It's supposed to shock him and sort of lay the groundwork for what the world has become in his absence. Scene 3, I know it says scene 6, so essentially what happened was I had this set of frames and the previous set of frames on the same scene, but it was getting to be too much for me to animate and hand draw, so I decided to separate them on their own scenes. And so scene 3 is another sort of establishing shot where the character is going to see a bunch of different people and a bunch of different things in this new world. Like there are floating islands, there's magic everywhere, there are strange devices. So yeah, I'm currently working on scene 3, And so essentially, I know it looks kind of messy right now, but I am practicing what is known as breaking up the scene. I think I mentioned this in my animating on 1, 2s, and 3s video, as well as my animating better and longer video. But essentially, what animators do is while they're animating, while they're drawing, they like to see where they can sort of separate the animation process. So they might animate in Adobe Animate, or they might animate in whatever, or Photoshop, or whatever program they use. But then later on, they'll probably draw assets like buildings or furniture, different things like that in Photoshop or Blender or wherever they draw their assets from. And so then after they're done with the animation and after they're done with other stuff, they'll all clip it together in post production, usually in After Effects, where they can composite, sharpen, play with lighting and different aspects and things like that. And you may hear some rumbling. It's kind of a bad idea, but I decided to stream while there's a storm happening outside. So take that as you may. And this character is a woman. Uh, she was kind of just, I'm not going to call her a rush job, but essentially what happened is she's just meant to be a background character. So I didn't really give much thought to her design. She's probably only going to, at least in this animation anyway, she's only going to appear once. And she has just one stream of animation that she's doing. And then we probably won't see her for a long time. She's not even a main character. I know that sounds kind of cruel, but it's the truth. So I guess I should be, I don't know, talking or answering questions. Sadly, I can't really see questions. I usually work from my laptop, and so sorry about that. I forgot to put my phone on silent. My bad. So essentially, what I do is I work from my laptop, and laptops they only have one HDMI cable. So I either have to unplug my drawing tablet and have my so I either have to unplug my drawing tablet and have my second monitor connected, or I have to unplug my second monitor and have my drawing tablet connected. And I do have a splitter that lets me split my HDMI port. The only issue with that is it causes my screen to be doubled, and then with my drawing tablet it has a bad habit of jumping my cursor. So my cursor will appear like a few pixels, or like a few, I wouldn't say a few pixels. Actually, yeah, it'll appear like a few pixels away from what I'm actually drawing. And that really throws me off. So then I said, you know what? I'll just wait till I buy an entire new laptop. But for now, I'm good with just unplugging it and plugging it back in. Like, I can work with anything, in all honesty. I don't need to be snazzy or have a bunch of nice equipment. So, if you're curious, this woman, is a jogger. Essentially, I didn't really put much thought into who she is or what her backstory is because, like I said, she's just a background character. But essentially, she has like a friend that she's sort of like talking to and who is walking with her. I mean, he might be more than a friend. I haven't really given it that much thought. But, like, essentially, she's just walking with someone, and they're supposed to represent sort of normal, everyday life, which is what the main character, Ayo, sort of lost and doesn't really understand anymore. Because for those of you who may not know, Ayo, Ayo, that's his name, is the main character of Witches 13. Essentially, he is a scientist who discovered magic, but his colleague betrayed him. And essentially, he got into a lab accident that left him in a sort of alternate universe slash space between spaces, and he was tortured in that alternate universe. So he lost like a few years of his life. He became a bit crazy, and yeah, he forged Witches 13, which is an organization of 13, well, witches, magic users, who each have a problem with the organization that essentially betrayed them in their own ways. We have a character, his name is Nancy. His parents were scientists, but they were experimented on. We have another character, Dutch. He is a super soldier. Essentially, the company was sort of hired to experiment with magic and try to create super soldiers. The only issue is that the experiments left Dutch sterile. And there are other characters that I've been working on as well. So now, why am I working on an animated show? Honestly, because I want to, because I've kind of had bad experiences with waiting and with trying to seek attention. So, for those of you who don't know, Essentially, I was rejected from my concentration. I still got my degree, not in exactly what I wanted, but I was able to leave college with a degree, which is a good thing. Even if you don't get the degree you want, it's okay. It's good to leave with something, so that you don't feel like your time was wasted. But essentially, I was rejected from my concentration. I got like really upset. And so then I decided, you know what? No, I'm not going to wait on anybody. I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. So this is me choosing not to put all of my eggs in one basket. Just to be safe, I'm going to try to push my own ideas and try to push this concept, this story that I've thought about and that I really like out there. And for those that like it, then I'll probably get backing. I'll get some crowdsourcing and crowdfunding. I'll get a team together. Some friends who I do have some friends in college who are skilled animators as well, and they can help me with this endeavor. I have some other friends that are amazing writers who can help me as well. And I don't just want to call them now. Like, that would be really rude. Like, hey, so and so, can you write this for me? And like, wait till I get big for me to pay you. Like, no. Like, that is one thing that I decided to take from the animation courses that I could take, is that I am not going to ask for like free labor or like friendly favors. I'll do as much as I can on my own, at least until I have some sort of budget that I can give people. And then once I have a budget and once I have, um, what's the proper term? Capital. I can actually start paying people for the work that they do. But like, until I get capital, sadly, I'm not gonna ask for any help. And I know the quality of my stuff may suffer, or like, I'm not gonna be as skilled as I want to be. But I have to respect people and I have to respect their talents. It would just feel wrong with me to, ask people to back me or ask people to help me. And then this thing goes under, or like, it just feels bad to me. Like, I don't want to do this. But anyway, this project has actually been pretty fun to me to work on. Like, I can't really complain. It's fun. It is fun and it is nice to work on a concept and an idea that you've wanted to for like a long time. And I get to share this concept and idea with you people with you people on the internet, like my followers and people. And even if you're not like a follower or a subscriber, you just tune in from time to time. It's nice for you guys to see this as well. Like, I just want to tell stories and I want people to be enthralled by what I create. If I can get some sort of reaction, if I can get some sort of like engagement, or like, hey, this made me feel this way, then I'd be happy. Because animators and artists in general, like, they just have a way of telling stories or getting points across. Like, with animation, you can do things and you can express things and you can reach people in like real tangible ways. Not saying that, other art forms can't. What I'm trying to say is that with animation as a medium, with animation as a medium, it gives people simultaneously surrealism as well as a grounded feeling, a way of storytelling that is unique of its own, which is, I think, is awesome. You know, this is one of my weaknesses as an artist. It is hard for me to draw necks. It is hard for me to draw women's necks. I know that sounds weird, but like, okay, look, when you're an animator, or at least when you go to school for animation, I didn't go to an art school, but I did go to a school that had a animation program. So essentially, you learn the principles of animation and art. You learn figure drawing. And so essentially, one of the things that they taught us is that I shouldn't say human, is that, well, actually, I can say that human structure is genetically diverse. So, like, human males and human females look vastly different from each other. Women are more curvaceous, their jaws are rounded, they have softer features, skinnier waists, and what we learn is that a woman's torso is usually an upside down triangle, whereas a man's torso is a square box. And what we also learn is that women have a longer and skinnier necks. Now, hopefully, I don't get too much shit for this, but my specialty is drawing men. I am good at drawing the male body. At the very least, I'm good at getting like the basic male structure. Women, however, are harder for me to draw. And I have been working on it. I have been trying to get better. So I hope I don't get too much hate for that. But guys, I'm working on it. And I know I'm gonna have to work on it because when I get a job, they're probably gonna ask me like, "Hey, Amobi, you're gonna need to draw a female figure," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know." The cool thing is that usually when you work with a studio, you're not working on something by yourself. Like you have people to go to for help, or multiple people who are working on the same project with you. That's not to say that you can half-ass or that you don't have to do as much work. Well, in certain cases, yes, you do have less work to do, which I mean, you can take that as you may want to. But essentially, what I'm saying is if your drawing isn't that good, or like you're not the next Van Gogh, you do have people to sort of catch your fall. I forgot what this hand was supposed to be doing. So one thing that can happen at times is when you're animating and when you're doing like your first pass of rough animation, because usually animators we like to separate. Okay, so you have rough animation and you have smooth animation, and that can be like a rough in betweening and smooth in betweening. So essentially, what happens in our rough planning stage and our rough in betweening stage, we like to further separate it to where the first set of rough in betweening is to just get the basic motion, and then the second set of rough in betweening is to get more details in there, like either clothes, eyes, hair, a basic general rough. And so sometimes when you're getting the basic motion, it's not that you rush it, it's more so that you are solely focused on where the character is walking to, and you're mainly focused on either where the character is walking, where they're positioning, where they're looking, that you forget the minor details like their hand placement or the minutia of what they're doing. So like say I have a scene where I have a character who is walking from the sidewalk into the store. The goal of the animation is to get the figure that is walking from the sidewalk into the store. The only issue that the issue that can arise is the context behind their walking. So you could have a character walking, but they might also be talking on their phone, or they might be talking to someone else. And so when you're talking on the phone or when you're talking to someone else, especially with animation, you try to draw that character as emotive. So their head might be turning around, or they might be doing, sign language where their hands and arms are like flying around or are moving. And so you, as the animator, you might have gotten them to walk into the store, but for their arm movements or for their head movements, you might have forgotten. Or you might have done it, but you didn't add enough detail to it. So now when you're going back and you're doing your second pass through of rough in betweening and rough animation, where you're adding more detail like fingers and maybe some muscles and clothes, you sort of forget really what was the intent behind those small movements, and you sort of forget what you were actually having them do. And that can really eat up your time as an animator. Like right here, I forgot where their other arm is, which is really bad. Essentially, while I was working on it, I'll have to. So essentially, she's walking with her partner. Her partner's like flirting with her, and so she's trying to like bat him off, like, "Oh, it's not that serious." And then they continue walking. And so I think somewhere in here, somewhere right here, I forgot to draw her arm, which is a fault on me, and I'll definitely have to go back and work on this and see where I was going to have their arms and hands. Let me finish with this digit right here. Another thing, when you're animating, make sure you stay hydrated. Now, a a soda is a soda sounds nice, and you are burning calories. That's actually one of the things that not many people know or not many people recognize is that as you're drawing, as you're animating, you are burning calories. So while it may be a good thing that you might have like a soda, it's still a bad thing because even though you are burning calories, you're still sitting. So you are going to, so over a longer period of time, you may put on a few pounds with that sort of sedentary work style. So I would say it would be better for you to either have Gatorade or have like a water bottle or something while you're animating or while you're painting or while you're doing whatever sort of art you're doing. Especially if you're streaming because I'm not really a talkative person. I kind of have to go out of my way to talk to you guys because it would be just horrible to have an art stream where I'm not talking. And that's not really how you get views. I feel sort of shameless even mentioning this. I'm sorry. But essentially, I sort of like have to force myself to talk. If it were up to me, there would just be silence. But I can't really play music because I don't really know the guidelines or the rules on it. And then, what else? I don't really know the rules on like playing music during stream. And then, yeah, like, I don't know. I just feel like I should talk to you guys. So, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Drink water or Gatorade while you are animating or working on art, especially if you're streaming. So anyway, I guess I could talk more about the world. So one of the major locations of Witches 13 is actually the scene that is depicted here. It's sort of like a Neo New York, Neo, New York. So like it's New York from our real world. However, following the cascade, when magic sort of came back to the world, it caused a lot of the different subdivisions and different areas of New York to levitate and float. So places like Harlem and Manhattan, they float now, and there are also independent floating buildings as well as land masses. So there are flying cars as well as levitating roads that allow traffic to continue. And so I made Neo New York as a sort of testament to how advanced the world has become and how far magic and science have blended with the existing society. It's sort of taking the concept of New York, which is the city of dreams and the city of like new ideas and stuff, and take that a step further to say, hey, New York has advanced with magic now, and there are a bunch of businesses. There's a bunch of life and diverse culture. I guess you could kind of compare it to Night City on top of real world New York. And Neo New York is also sort of like the seat of, I don't want to say corruption, but it is also the seat of drama, at least for this upcoming season. Yeah, it is at least sort of like the focal point of drama for this upcoming season. And how do I put this? So this is a revenge story. It does not have the typical hero and villain archetypes. I actually went with the more The Witcher sort of storytelling, where The Witcher, as well as a little bit of Arcane, to where there is no hero and villain. It's just people living in this world, and you're gonna see bits and pieces of people's lives and their personal missions and goals. And that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted for Witches 13. And another issue that I sort of have with animation and just TV in general is at least at least present day shows. And yes, anime is a victim of this where they sort of like to rush. They like to rush storylines and they like to rush ideas and stuff like that. Now, My Hero Academia and I think Berserk, they do this really well. And I want to say, like, the. Ooh, that was some thunder right there. And I want to say the third season of Castlevania does this really good too, to where you do have characters with their own goals, but at the same time, you see them in downtime. Like you see, trying to give an example. Like you see the characters in My Hero Academia, they're doing schoolwork or they're enjoying school life and they're having their school festival. You see Alucard, he's just chilling at his house and he's not really doing anything, but he's still sort of like doing stuff. And that's really something that I just want for Witches 13 is that even though these people have a goal and even though these people are planning, it's not just gonna be like them trying to rush to the finish line. They're taking their time and they're also at least trying to enjoy life, even though they're sort of suffering. Because like, I just think and feel that too many shows are trying to rush to finish their season. Like me personally, I don't care if the main plot isn't done by the end of the season. Like it's actually more exciting if the problems and the overarching story last longer than the season. And obviously you do want there to be certain benchmarks, avoid maybe like a miraculous ladybug situation where the plot just drones on for a long time. But I just want to show the importance of downtime and relaxation, like, a moment of reflection. And this also comes from, D&D, because yes, I do play D&D. I am that much of a nerd. So anyway, yeah, I play D&D, and what's not explored is downtime. At least not in my personal games. Is at times it feels like it's just I had one DM and it was just literally his DMing style was taking us from fight to fight. Like we had no downtime. We had no time where we were just chilling and like the wizard never sat down and read a book and our fighter never was training and our ranger was never, I don't know, doing what rangers do, like meditating in the woods or anything like that. So at least for this concept, I want to have my audience, have you guys experience this world, because this is a very magical world, and this is meant to be like, maybe not, okay, I'm not trying to sort of tell people what a perfect world would look like, but because this because the world that I designed is grounded in some form of realism and has origins in our real life world, I actually want to explore it. Rather explore it, show you guys how the world functions, what people do in it, like what life is like in this world. And I don't want it to just be glossed over. Because, when you spend so much time world building and making an actual living, breathing world, you don't just want people to follow it for the main storyline. You want people to see, like, what is life for these people? Like, what would a world look like if everyone had magic? What would a world look if, if a kid has a tantrum, they may blow up a building? And that's very interesting because when you actually think about it, when you think of a society where, a lot like My Hero Academia, where everyone has a superpower, in this case, everyone has magic, it's like, of course, society would adapt itself to account for people with powers or people with magic. Like, someone could say, like, oh, I want to destroy the world, where it's like, okay, you may want to do that, but people are gonna have like magical wards on their building so that it's harder for people to use magic. Or like, if a kid has a tantrum, like, you don't think that their parents would have some sort of like, would have made some sort of like magical object or artifact that keeps their kid from like going too crazy or doing too much stuff. Like, that's sort of the stuff that I want to explore and I think should be explored, especially when you make any sort of like fantasy world. Because a lot of shows, they sort of, I don't want to say they villainize magic, it's more so like only the chosen one has magic, or magic is a rare thing, or oh, you have to be a scholar to use magic. And this is just a concept that I never really liked. Like, if a world has magic, can you honestly say that there wouldn't be any like everyday usages for it? Like, people wouldn't find a way to advance technology and civilization with magic? And yeah, there are gonna be social issues. There are social issues and like religious issues with like everything. And with this show taking inspiration from our real world, like, of course there are gonna be, the show is gonna have religions that have a more closed-minded view on magic. But as for the common consensus, is that regular people who like aren't that religious or aren't that hotep, like, magic in this world is just gonna be like a common thing. Like, everyone, pretty much everyone uses magic some way. Like, people use magic to fuel their cars, or they use magic to power their cell phones. Like, their cell phones are magic. Their TVs are magic. The internet is magic. Essentially, it's like, what if the world ran on a green, renewable energy source that was quickly and easily and readily acceptable? That's pretty much what this show is about. And sort of, even though we have renewable energy and even though everything is air quotes good and perfect, what issues may still arise from that. And there are a bunch of issues that can arise from perfection. Like, even though there is this renewable energy source, like, that doesn't mean that everyone's going to have the education to do something with their magic. There could still be infringements, there could still be monopolies on magic or the ways that magic is utilized, which is always interesting and which is something that would be nice to explore. I'm rambling. Like, there are times where I don't know what to say, and then there are other times where I say too much. I'm sorry, guys. I hope I'm not sharing too much about my idea or about the world. Mm, let's see here. Something else. I talked about the cascade. I talked about sort of like my themes for which is 13. I guess I could go more into the origins and sort of like the inspiration. So essentially, I kind of got a lot of inspiration from the book of Enoch from the Bible, actually. And yeah, I know in 2020 and in the past few years, there has been sort of friction between Christianity as well as there's been friction between Christianity and present day movements. And I mean, I think it's really sad. And I don't really like to go into my personal beliefs, and I don't really like to overshare too much, but I will say that I think the vocal minority of Christians who push their rhetoric and who push their beliefs, even even though they may say that it's for like it's even though they may say that it's to save people or it's to fight against sin, like I think that they should be talking and expressing more about God's love rather than telling people that they're going to hell. Because if you tell people they're going to hell, then they're not gonna want to listen to you. And you can say like, "Oh, it's tough medicine, X, Y, Z," but still, people respond negatively and people respond harshly when you're so antagonistic with them. Not to say that people are weak willed or anything. It's just that when if you walk in and you curse someone out, even if you say even if what you're saying is true, you've already hurt them, so their ears are already closed to you. Which is why I personally try to act with kindness. And I'm sorry, I've kind of like rambled. I'm sorry. This isn't meant to be like some spiel about religion. I said this to preface that my this show does take inspiration from the Dead Sea Scrolls as well as the Book of Enoch, which is actually very enlightening and interesting. Like they have eldritch angels, they have rituals, they show like a bunch of different things like with giants and with spirits and demons, which is actually really cool and really interesting. And this book essentially, and this show, I'm sorry, this show takes inspiration from that. So it's really, so the origin of magic, and I don't want to spoil too much, but with this show, essentially a theme is that humans were always meant to have magic in this world, in Witches 13, in the setting and in this particular show. Because I may make other shows and I may make other spin-offs, but essentially for this world, magic was always meant to exist. There was just sort of like an event that happened hundreds of thousands of years ago that stifled magic. So when the Cascade happened, which was like a meteor shower that hit the world, that hit the earth and sort of reset it, that was when magic became a thing. And so now we have hyperflora, hyperfauna, like we have giant deer and we have tigers and lions with like crystal teeth or like vines growing out of their backs and just all of this cool stuff. And I haven't really had a chance to draw any art for it, but essentially it's sort of like a return to Eden, a return to perfection, a revitalization of the planet. And in this show, humans have longer lifespans and people live longer and people can it takes and like people can live for like 500 years. And during the Cascade, those people who weren't able to escape, they became suffused with magic and they became the orcs and the elves and the dwarves and the different fantasy races that we see. It's a real, and I really did think long and hard about this because I just cared so much about this idea and it's so extravagant. Sorry, I've rambled too much. It's about time I get back to drawing, get back to my art. Mm. I may give her like straight hair or something. Because I'm drawing her hair right now, and it's reminding me too much of my character Ao's hair. Like, I'm not saying that I have like a default that I draw all hair, like with spikes or anything. It's more so that, like, this was just easier for me, which is a bad thing. Like, I shouldn't do something just because it's easier for me to do. When I first started streaming, I was actually very worried that I would, I don't know, show something or do something that would get me suspended. Like, oh my gosh, I'm about to lose before I even get big. But, like, no, I'm not really worried about it. I mean, I should always show caution. Like, I should always be careful. Because there may come a day where, hopefully not, I shouldn't even say that. I don't want to jinx myself. But hopefully, I pray that nothing accidentally pops up and I accidentally show anything that breaks guidelines or whatever. Because that would be very sad and unfortunate. I would cry. And I would ugly cry too, where I just have something on my computer or something that gets me suspended. Not to say that I do anything illegal, but like now no, I do not do let me just say this right now. I don't do anything illegal. Nothing illegal. But I shouldn't even say but. Let me not say but. However, I am a young man. I'm just having a panic attack right now. I should not be talking. I should just be closing my mouth right now. Once I get talking, I can't stop. Like I might get canceled just for this because I keep talking. And the more I talk and the more I catch myself, it leads people to wonder. And when people wonder, their minds usually make far worse accusations than what you ever could have said or done. So don't let people wonder. Just make sure you don't have to tell all your business, but like you don't want people to linger on your silence for too long. Just don't worry about me, okay? And I mean that. Just don't. I'm a disaster. I try to have this cool persona where people think like, "Oh, you're so cool, you're so awesome. Oh, you don't talk." But once I start talking, then people know my secrets, and then people say, "Oh, like he's lame," or "Oh, he's weird." Like that's what you guys are thinking right now. It's okay. Leave it in the comments. Say, "Owo's corner." Obi, you're weird. Just say it. Leave a comment. If you get this far, say Dude, you're weird. Just leave it in the comments right now. If you get this far, say, dude, you're weird. And I'll know that you got this far. What am I even doing right now? I'm panicking. I'm just talking. I should really stop talking right now. Let's see here. Anyway, this has been nice to work on. This is a really good animation. Uh, let's see here. I'm gonna erase some of this right here. Make it look cleaner. What else? Oh yeah, I've been playing like a lot of Dragon Age Inquisition. I actually stopped playing for a little while. Like I haven't even been playing video games in general because I've just been so focused on that project that I told you guys about. Like literally video games have sort of lost their savor for me. Like video games are awesome. Don't even get me started on that. Like video games are amazing. It's just because of college and because of school, like I've been focusing so much on that video essay that I haven't really been feeling fulfilled by video games. But like now that I'm done, I actually did what my professor and what even my parents recommend. Like, you know, you work really hard, you did so much, so just take a few days to yourself. And so yeah, of course, I need to take a few days to myself. That's what I'm doing right now. It's taking a few days to myself. It's just, you know, I also want a job because these, these student loans aren't going to pay for themselves, sadly. And I was thinking, since I have this degree and since I have this degree, let me make some YouTube videos and also let me just apply for a bunch of jobs. Now I hope I get a job. I really hope I get a job. And yeah, I still have my grace period. It's not that I'm not patient. It's just I dwell on the future too much. Like that is a really bad habit of mine where I just dwell on the future. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what if this doesn't happen? Oh my gosh, what if that doesn't happen?" Like, and I've always been afraid of like something bad happening or something wrong happening. And I've just been a person that frets over the future. And I know I shouldn't. I know I should be more confident and be less scared. It's just not to say that it's easier being worried. I actually think it is worse being worried than it is to not have anything planned, because when you're worried, like that shaves years off your life. Like my mom is the kind of person, bless her soul, I love my mom, but she worries a lot. And whenever we're in the store, she also likes to rush people too, which is like, mom, you need to slow down. Like, mom, you need to chill out. And yeah, I get it. You shouldn't want to spend an entire day like in Sam's Club or in Walmart. But at the same time, like, there's nothing urgent. There's no fire. There's no emergency. Because when you rush yourself, you do get sick. Like, and my mom, she has gotten sick from like rushing herself or from trying to do too much. And I've always sort of like worried about her. Apologies for that yawn. Anyway, what has everyone else been up to? What's up with you guys? I've just been working on this and chilling. Not really been doing much. I've also been applying for jobs. Like just the other day, I applied for like 3 jobs. They were on LinkedIn. So I do have to find more applications, and I'll be looking on LinkedIn. I'll be looking on ArtStation, Handshake, pretty much everywhere to try and find a job because I do want to find a long term career, not just like anything. I'll probably find maybe 3 or 4 more applications. After that, hopefully, I hear back from them in a timely manner. I'm not looking to hear back from them the day of or like 2 days from now, but I do hope I hear back and I do hope I find something. I have faith, blind faith, but I have faith that something will come up for me. I mean, not many people. Hmm, I would say that I guess not many people have in betweeners. Like, and I'm willing to travel. Like, I'll do remote work. I'll work from home, or I'll migrate. I shouldn't say migrate. What I mean is, I'm willing to pack up and move closer to work. Is what I'm trying to say. But like, and I do have multiple skill sets. Like, my main thing is animation, but I do have skills in video editing. I edit all of my own stuff. I do the thumbnails and art for everything I make. I do it myself. I edit my own videos. I edit my own audio. I do my own thumbnails. I draw my own art. I'm pretty much like my own mini studio. The one issue for me, however, is time. Because, like, even though I can do it all on my own, I kind of don't want to because I'm not going to say I don't want to. It's more so like I am self aware that if I do all of this on my own, I'm going to either burn out or I may end up hurting myself or the finishing product, which I want to avoid. Which is why, even though I can do everything on my own, I still like the safety net of working with a team. I think that's a more human response. And I actually did get I'm kind of sad because I did get a call back and I was able to even get an interview where this summer camp wanted an artist to run this whole art shack. It was in Wisconsin. It was nice cuz it had nice scenery, it had mountains, it was in the forest. Like it wasn't like a cult thing. Actually, I shouldn't say it wasn't a cult thing. It was more so like it was like a religious sort of retreat type thing where I shouldn't say religious retreat. More so like it was a religious summer camp and it was a Christian summer camp, which I don't mind in the slightest. Like my grandmother was a Christian and I was born Christian, so like I don't really mind religion. I don't really mind religious stuff. Oh, actually, my mom is calling me. Give me 1 second to mute myself. Testing, testing. Hello, yes, I am back. That was my mom calling me. She got off early and she is headed to the store. I think she's headed to like Food Line or somewhere. But anyway, she just called me to ask if I need anything. What was I saying? Oh yeah, there was this one job that got in contact with me. It was like a summer camp deal, an overnight summer camp sort of thing, which which was kind of cool. I would have really enjoyed it. I would have really liked it because the scenery was beautiful. It looked like a really nice location and place. And even the other counselors, they looked really nice too, which is awesome. It was in Wisconsin, so I would have had to like buy a plane ticket or something, which I don't mind. Like honestly, I don't mind. And they also have internet access, which is kind of cool. Dang, I drew these. These eyes look nasty. I'm gonna have to redraw this. Do not be over eager to draw your eyes. You will mess up. Do not be over eager to draw the face. You will mess up. That's just a little nugget of advice. I don't think a professor gave me that advice. That's just something that I've learned. That is the downside of streaming. That is one of the downsides of talking while doing art. Is sometimes your mind and brain scatters, and sometimes you mess up. Dang, what was I doing while I was working on this? Because like there are no arms or anything. It's just the figure. Excuse me. Had a little cough. Oh shit. I hate it when that happens. Oh yeah, this is actually something that a fellow student told me about. Yeah, like one of the downsides of my school, or rather the professors I had, is that the animation professors, they didn't really give me any tips on animating. Like literally one of my professors said, "Oh yeah, just watch LinkedIn Learning." And I'm like, "Aren't you the teacher? And don't we like sit in your classroom for an hour and a half? Like shouldn't you be telling me this?" It's neither here or there. It's over now. But essentially like a lot of the skills that I learned just drawing and animating in general, I had to learn from asking my fellow students, not my professor, which is kind of sad and which is kind of horrible. Like, not saying that I had like a sad professor or anything, it's more so like that it felt like the professor couldn't be bothered to teach at times. I've just zoomed in on her chest for so long. I'm sorry, guys. That's wrong of me. I shouldn't be doing that. Anyway, it's been about an hour, I guess. Yeah, this has been fun. This has been really nice to work on and do, and yeah, I'll probably just do some more in the future. It's been really fun. And it feels good to be animating again, and it feels good to be working on, bigger and longer projects. Anyway, this has been Owoh's Corner, my little corner of art. Let me try that again. This has been Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share even. And I actually learned about this recently, but apparently you guys have to click the bell for notifications. I've just been saying like, comment, and subscribe, but yeah, if you want to, click the bell. You don't have to. Anyway, yeah, this has been really fun, and it's been really nice. I'm still kind of new to this whole YouTube thing, at least this whole live streaming thing. And with each work I do, and with every time I draw or animate, I get better and better. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.